Hey, you can get some cool and fun rewards for helping me help kids. Stick around after the video for more information.
All right, buckle up. This car has a spoiler. Oh my gosh. I just came out of Spider-Man Far From Home. And dang, I really liked that movie. Dang. Man, well, let me save my thoughts on why I love the movie. Try to save those for the review so I don't repeat myself, because there's a lot to talk about in terms of spoilers. Let's just start at the midpoint. The reveal that Mysterio is the villain of the movie, which, you know, in hindsight, I want to say, Peter, you should have seen that coming a mile away. It's Mysterio. He's all about deception and illusions and stuff like that. I think there's a combination of things going on as to why it did surprise me up until just moments before it happened. Like, I really didn't suspect, I don't think, that Mysterio was the villain. I mean, I think the thought maybe briefly occurred to me, but they were playing his good guy persona so straight, and they weren't dropping any tells for the audience to make the audience suspect. And I love that. I love that when a movie does not, when it just is totally okay with misleading the audience and not helping them at all with stuff like that. I thought it was wonderful. I love having a movie where halfway through it becomes a totally different movie that you know, they didn't plant any hints necessarily for the audience to try and, you know, catch on through. And anyway, I think the reason I was fooled as much as I was twofold. One, it's been a while since I read any stories that involved Mysterio, and so I kind of forgot how much deception and illusion was his shtick. I kind of forgot a good chunk of what his shtick was all about. I think I knew that illusions and stuff were involved, but that didn't really come to mind, you know. The other thing is, you know, I don't just watch mainstream blockbuster movies. I think if you just take in a steady diet of mainstream movies, then all movies can really kind of become formulaic and predictable. But when you also watch weird independent movies that are not, you know, super popular, where writers and directors take more risks, then you're exposed to a lot of different kinds of plot threads and plot and stories. And so I've just been exposed to so much that, like, it makes movies less predictable to me because I allow for more wild possibilities. And so there's part of my mind that just kind of says, you know, I just allow for any possibility, and I just kind of like go with it. And so that's a good place for me to be in as a movie fan, you know, especially when they make the choices that they did to not plant any, like, nudge wink winks to the audience, or any music cues, or, you know, they didn't have any moments where they were keeping the camera on Mysterio after, you know, people leave him, you know, because normally what they'll do in a movie like that is they'll have the scene in which the lying character is lying, and then they'll have the person they're talking to leave, but the camera will stay on the person that's lying, and then there'll be a little music cue or something like that, and you'll see just a look in their eyes or something, you know. And there was none of that until the actual reveal of Mysterio, and so I so appreciated that. In the moment of the reveal, I was kind of bummed because he was such a likable, sympathetic character. He was a family man, had lost his family, and he was like really kind of a mentor and father figure potentially to Peter. So it was really good that very soon after that they brought in Happy Hogan to kind of fill that slot and become this father figure to Peter, even though in the end his relationship with May is anything but certain. Yeah, that was a really nice you know, kind of element that they were able to have in there, that Happy Hogan was ready to go. They even kind of, you know, laid some of the groundwork for that early in the movie, so that when we come back and, like, Mysterio's bad and, you know, Happy Hogan's already kind of like, oh yeah, he's a good guy in Peter's life, you know. So just wonderful wonderful writing there. And And, you know, I say that Mysterio is bad, but he is still complex. He is not... He's definitely an egomaniac. He's not mustache twirly bad, you know. But he's got, you know, he's like a wounded egomaniac, you know. And so there's just enough richness there. One thing that I wish would have been gone into more was why he's so good at deception. You know, why he's so good, you know, as an actor to pull this off with Nick Fury and Spider-Man and all these other people. You know, I think that, if I remember correctly, in the comics, Mysterio has a background in Hollywood or something. Like maybe he has some background in the film industry. I could be totally imagining that. But I think there's something, maybe in special effects or something. He's got some kind of a background, I think, that would make me believe that, okay, this is a guy who has a background in creating illusion and deception and storytelling and stuff like that. But that didn't seem to be the case. I think in this movie he was just working for Stark, you know. And so then when they would have the scenes later on where Mysterio is like, you know, creating scenes and working with his tech crew to like make them more convincing and stuff, it felt like we were watching, you know, someone rehearsing for a show. You know, and so it would have made, I would have liked for there to be something in his background revealed where he was, you know, had some connection to show business or something. I don't know. That reveal of Mysterio was a bit jarring. I mean, the bar, all the people in it were his cohorts, and to suddenly, you know, they really had to, you know, just bust out a whole bunch of heavy-handed exposition at once, as he's like congratulating himself and his team and talking up their backgrounds and stuff, which I thought was really cool because it played into the continuity of the Marvel Universe. I mean, they referred all the way back to the first Iron Man movie, you know, which I thought was really cool. And, you know, on a meta level, I've heard that Marvel Studios kind of sees this as an epilogue to where the Marvel Universe has been. And I guess I could see that. I also think it's a launching off point for where it's going. But anyway, it was just nice how they referenced a lot. There was a lot for Iron Man fans in this movie, you know, calling back to, I think, more than one Iron Man movie. Well, actually, one of the Iron Man flashbacks took place in an Avengers movie, I think. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, yeah, I think Captain America Civil War was the one that they called back to for the illusion tech. But, yeah, it was, dang, really good. Is there any other spoilers about Mysterio that I might want to cover? I don't think so. I really like the development of the relationship between Peter and Mary Jane. I'll talk about that, I think, in my review a bit, but just seeing it come full circle, and that final scene where he's swinging with her through the city for the first time, and she is totally freaking out. You know, it's a wonderful juxtaposition from what we've seen in the past with Spider-Man and Mary Jane. As much of this new, you know, MCU version of Spider-Man has been, it's like we're gonna just do different things with our casting of characters you're familiar with, and so having that kind of moment where she's totally freaking out was great. It was so charming. So much about their relationship. Their first kisses were like, you know, these little pecks and all the nervousness, and I so appreciated that, you know, it wasn't the CW version of teenage romance, that it was much closer to real, awkward, nervous teenage romance. It was sweet. It wasn't sexy. It was sweet and innocent, and I loved it. And I think that that's such a great model to put out there, instead of teens getting this idea of what romance is from these CW TV shows and other sources that, you know, just go all hot and heavy, either, if not with teenage romance, then with young adult romance. And so, you know, all the more reason to get them revved up and thinking, boy, if our relationship is really going to go to the next level, we, you know, got to have sex or whatever and stuff. And gosh, you know, with these kids in high school, just keep it sweet, please, you know. And they really did. It's just beautiful. Speaking of changing things up in terms of how they cast and subverting expectations, I don't know if this had been revealed yet or not, but one thing they didn't change was J. Jonah Jameson. They brought back what's his dude who played him in the Tobey Maguire movies to play him again in the Spider-Man universe, in the MCU. Excuse me. Which I thought was great. Yes, it's weird, and it's this weird point of carryover and inconsistency, and but I think that most viewers would agree that his version of the character is so iconic that it's worth bringing back, and so that was super great, to see that. And then let's see here, what else was? Oh yeah, 2 teasers at the end. Not teasers, but stingers, whatever you call them. Post-credit scenes, both with some really significant stuff going on. The first teaser, we get before Mysterio dies, which I'm gonna put in quotes. I think it's totally possible that even though Edith said all illusions are not, are non-active, well, okay, that was the ones that Edith was hooked up to. But he had illusion tech before he got his hands on Edith, and so I could believe that there's some way that he kept some illusion tech out of her knowledge, I wanted a teaser for the Sinister Six, which we kind of got at the end of the original Spider-Man Homecoming, and it, but we didn't see any indication that they're following up on the Sinister Six concept in this movie. So I was hoping we'd get a callback to that we'd see Mysterio go to jail and kind of connect with Michael Keaton's Vulture character or something like that. We did not see that. So I think there's still definitely reason that we can hope that will happen in the third Spider-Man movie. But what was I going to say? Okay, so and then my gosh. So Mysterio created this message that went out to the public, triggered on his death, I guess, or was downloaded by one of his crew, and they, I assume, uploaded it. Doctored selfie footage that he was taking unbeknownst to Spider-Man in the last moments of his life, quote unquote. And it's doctored to make it look like Spider-Man was the one that set off the drones and attacked all these people, and people got killed, which we never see that actually happen on screen. It's just kind of assumed in the background that happened. And so Spider-Man was blamed for it, and then his identity was revealed. Oh my gosh. Now, I know that Spider-Man's identity has been revealed in the comics at some point. I'm not sure how I feel about it being revealed in the MCU. I mean, I guess he's had 2 movies, of his own now where he had a secret identity. So, might as well, I think you can do this and kind of explore something different now with the third movie, and that's fine. But dang, that was huge. That was like I Am Iron Man all over again, which is, I'm sure, what they were going for. They, on a meta level, I'm home and I'm in my garage, I'm going to keep talking. On a meta level, they were really dealing with a lot of, I think people wondering, is Spider-Man going to be the new Iron Man, is he going to be the centerpiece of the Marvel Universe? And I've said before that I think he absolutely should be, and that Sony needs to work that stuff out, whatever they got to do between Sony and Marvel Studios, keep that partnership strong, whatever it costs Marvel. I think Spider-Man needs to be the heart of the Marvel Universe going forward. I'll talk about that some in my review. Again, I want to try not to repeat myself. Let's see. So the final stinger, which is really weird, involved Nick Fury. And what was revealed was that the Nick Fury that we saw during that whole movie, along with the female agent, can't remember his name, that's kind of his right-hand woman, those were Skrull. Those were the shape-shifting aliens that were introduced in Captain Marvel. So that says to me, I mean, Nick Fury was fine. They were working with Nick Fury. He was on some helicarrier in space, I guess, with a bunch of Skrull, working with Skrull, and and they said something like, you know, hey, so the mission went well, you know, so they were impostoring. They were imitating Fury with his permission as part of his plan, you know. You know, they said to him, they're wondering where the Avengers are, you know, so as if to say, okay, Fury, it's time to do something. So evidently Fury, in space with the Skrull, has been, you know, cooking something up to keep the vision of the Avengers alive, I suppose, and the Skrull, it looks like, are going to be a significant part of executing on that. That's fascinating to me, that the Skrull are still good guys, you know. I'm going to get into spoiler territory for Captain Marvel now, so if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, just tune me out. I don't have anything else to say, you know, so just turn me off. I don't have anything else to say about Spider-Man spoilers except for this. So if you haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, yeah, totally tune me out. Sorry, I didn't say it earlier. Anyway, you know, at the end of that movie, they were good guys. They were revealed to be good guys, but I wondered, since that movie took place in the 90s, if something would have happened in the intervening years so that when we catch up to the modern day, the Skrull would be enemies. They'd be enemies of Earth, as I believe they have been in the comics. And the comics, there's like a Secret War or Secret Wars story where like a bunch of heroes were revealed to be Skrull. Heroes that had seemingly died, I guess, but then come back to life were actually, in all those cases, Skrull that were impersonating those heroes. And so it looks like they're setting up something with the Skrull that's probably going to involve a whole bunch of, you know, embedded Skrull characters all over the you know, the Marvel universe. Which, by the way, I guess I do have something else to say about another part of Spider-Man. All the Mysterio stuff, the illusions, was so cool. It was just a great way. I really didn't want Spider-Man to be fighting elementals as the main villain. So to be fighting all these illusions of Mysterio, you never knew what was real. You were questioning reality the whole time. I loved it. I loved it. That was so cool. What a great villain for Spider-Man. They made him so, you know, insurmountable an obstacle for so much of that movie. Anyway, the Skrull stuff is interesting. It really doesn't have any bearing on this movie. I mean, you could totally miss that teaser at the end, and it doesn't add anything to Spider-Man. It's just, you know, projecting where the Marvel Universe is headed, and I think that's really interesting. I think that's really interesting. All bets are off now. I mean, they could do whatever they want. They could say that characters that died, they wouldn't do this for meta reasons, contractual reasons, but, you know, Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, maybe they were Skrulls that got killed instead of the originals. No, probably not. Black Widow maybe could have been a Skrull. I don't know. Maybe that could work somehow. Yeah, you can make it work. So I'm really curious what they're going to do. It makes me just a little bit more invested in Captain Marvel as a movie. I really didn't care for that movie very much, but it's one of those, it's like, you know, it's fine. It's rock'em sock'em action, but I'm not invested emotionally at all. But seeing as how the Skrull are clearly going to play a big part in the future of the Marvel Universe, it's, you know, one more reason for me to, as I had already planned to do, pick up Captain Marvel when it's cheap and used or something. Anyway, dang, really enjoyed this movie a lot. Any more spoilers? I don't think so. This might be my longest spoiler car video yet. Dang. I think that's all the spoiler stuff I would want to talk about right now. If I've forgotten something that you really were struck by in that back half of that movie, then let me know in the comments, and we will strike up some conversation about it. Now I'm ready to go in and record my review and just talk about how much I love this movie.
Hey, Pater Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. For my 6th consecutive year, I'm participating in Extra Life, a charity event that raises funds to provide medical care for children in urgent need. I'm also leading the Christian Geek Central Extra Life team, which you're still welcome to join by following the link in the description below. Once again this year, I'm drawing attention to our team's fundraising by performing a 24-hour marathon of video gaming that I will stream live on youtube.com/ChristianGeekCentral and ChristianGeekCentral.com beginning 6 a.m. Pacific Time on Saturday, November 2nd. You can donate on my page or on any team member's page by following the links below, where you will also find incentives and rewards for doing so. For example, on my page, for $5 or more, you can choose a topic to add to my +3 page of many topics that I'll be blabbing my opinions on during the live stream. For $10 or more, you get the previous reward and a download code for a free copy of the Spirit Blade Special Edition audio drama. For $20 or more, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a game for me to play during my November 2nd live stream. Pick a favorite or torture me with something terrible or rage-inducingly difficult. For $30 or more, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a song for me to sing during my November 2nd live stream. Pick an old favorite of yours or just make me humiliate and torture myself with something no one wants to hear. And for $50 or more, you get all the previous rewards and a download code for every MP3 product at spiritblade.com. That's an $80 value. On top of that, I've set fundraising milestones that will unlock strange and unusual happenings as I reach them. At $200, I'll have a free download day for everyone who visits spiritblade.com on November 6th. And as my total goes beyond $200, I'll unlock increasingly more content for that free download day. I will also let my boys tickle me for 1 minute straight during my November 2nd live stream. And depending on how far beyond $200 my fundraising goes, I will cover my face in peanut butter and jelly while talking about horror movies, put on a Frozen Solid t-shirt the morning of my live stream while playing video of me singing soothing classical music at my senior recital in college, shoot water up my nose with a turkey baster, get my wife Holly to play a game with me for 30 minutes of the live stream, or the granddaddy of all milestones, squirm intensely, mortified while showing an embarrassing video clip from the original stage version of Spirit Blade. Now, there are some stipulations and time limits on those rewards and milestones, so quickly follow the link below to my fundraising page for all the details. I hope you'll be a part of helping me and the Christian Geek Central team do some good for some kids who really need it. And then, please join me at youtube.com/ChristianGeekCentral for my 24-hour marathon starting at 6 a.m. Pacific on Saturday, November 2nd. Hope to see you there.